Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Johnson, I mentioned in my opening statements that China had changed its policy towards accepting materials from our country. I'm wondering, is the market already responding to this? What are you seeing in terms of how this is making our system more resilient, or what kind of impacts does it have?
Yes, thank you. Yes, I think in some of the commodities have already made terrific adjustments, paper being really a fine example of it. The metals industry, which is a large portion of our membership, has also been able to improve their quality as well. One of the things that is it looks like is most people look at this situation and they say, that China closed the door to all this material. I think it's a wake-up call. It's a wake-up call to say that we can do a lot better with processing our materials and recycling them and reusing them here in this country as well as other places. So many of the commodities have already adjusted pretty well.
Let me ask you another question. I'm from a rural state, West Virginia. I live in the capital city. We've had recycling bins here and there, but it's unsustainable for the municipality. They can't afford it. They don't have the manpower, but not just that, the funds to be able to transport and figure out what to do with this. I would imagine in rural America, this is a huge problem. What kind of solutions have you seen? Is it a hub and spoke kind of solution, or Mr. Johnson, what are your members seeing? And I'm talking more residential, but it could be small business or small manufacturing, recycling as well.
Yes, in the traditional way that recycling works, with metals to all the other, the commercial, industrial, as well as residential, what we would turn them in the more of the scrap side of the business is feeder yards. And so what you're doing is you're collecting in lots of places, and then based on the transportation costs, delivering it to more of a central location where there's you have the equipment, the machinery, the technology to be able to make it into a high grade commodity to then to be reused again.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's, when you talk about education, I'm sure you run into this in North Carolina. It's just it's so stop and start. And then when I heard Ms. Elias talk about deposit, I thought about when I was growing up, probably you too, Mr. Chairman, we had Coke bottles that you would have the empty ones and you would take them back, and, they had value, and it was just the way you did things. And then that sort of, I guess in the advent of plastics, that went by the wayside. So maybe that was a good technology. It was forward thinking. Mr. Hawkinson, I understand there's a burning question that my staff wanted me to ask. Are pizza boxes recyclable?
Yes, and thank you for asking that question. I think this is one of the remaining sort of urban legends around paper recycling. Pizza boxes are recyclable. We set out to put out an industry statement to try to raise awareness and eliminate confusion in the marketplace around this issue a couple of years ago. And as we do with all of our issues, we gathered facts to make sure that we had the data right and upon which to make the statement. So we went out to our member mills who consume the two grades most likely to have pizza boxes: old corrugated containers and mixed paper. What we found is that 93.6% of all of that fiber consumed in our member mills, of those grades that contain pizza boxes, are accepted for recycling in the mills. So overwhelmingly accepted. They are widely accepted in community recycling programs. We hope that any other community recycling programs that don't currently accept them do so.
Well, I think what we're going to see later this afternoon is breaking news crawls. Pizza boxes are recyclable.
What is Ranking Member Yield? What if the pizza is still inside the pizza box?
I'm glad you brought that up, because one of the questions we asked in the research was, are there any things that preclude your ability to use these in manufacturing? And as you might imagine, pizza was the top answer. So probably the best way to think about this and remember it is pizza boxes are recyclable. Pizza is not.
Well, my pizza boxes are always empty.
Not the pizza in the bin.
Okay, so let me ask one other serious question here. You've obviously had great success in the Forest and Paper Association with recycling, with your Juno Technologies and other. We've heard a lot about plastics and the low numbers. What lessons learned from what you've been able to do and hearing the testimony today and concerns from members, would you say could be correlated to a more efficient and successful plastics recycling? Microphone.
I do it again? Sorry. As you recognize, the paper recycling rate reached 65%, 65.7% in 2020. That's about double what it was in 1990. And it didn't get there by accident. It is the result of the industry's recognition that we wanted to recycle more of our products, made investments in collection infrastructure, made a commitment to recycle more. We're doing a lot of education for consumers about what's recyclable and how to recycle properly. And importantly, we're making investments in manufacturing technology to enable us to use more recycled fiber. I mentioned the number earlier, about $5 billion in manufacturing infrastructure to use recovered fiber that's going to come online. It began in 2018, will come online through 2023. That sort of private sector investment is enabling us to use more fiber and increase the recycling rates for our products.
Yeah, and I would imagine too, it also increases as you do that. It increases your end rate, your user rate at the other end of the recycling life. I mean, there's somebody there to buy your product and use it and have it be efficient and all that. And I think that's an issue. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.